Good morning, or yeah, it's still morning. I can say good morning. Well, I hope you're ready and hold on to your hats because you're in for a real high powered session. I see the people have already got those Google Docs ready and hot, ready to paste all those good hyperlinks of everything that Kevin's going to show you. I think this summer, I think he posted around a couple hundred or something like that. So I hope you're ready and you're excited because I can already feel the excitement and it's ready to go. So we're going to be wrapping up today on collaboration with Kevin Honeycutt as our keynote speaker and our closing keynote. And so it's going to be really cool. I've already been talking with him and he's ready. Are you guys ready? Let me hear it in the comments. Are you ready? Okay, so let's go over a few housekeeping tips before we get started with Kevin. We want to encourage you to chat in the chat box because that's all about today is collaboration, and so we can collaborate together on new ideas. I've been seeing it in the past couple of sessions, and you guys are rocking and rolling in collaboration, and that is amazing. We want you to like and subscribe. We've already had like 20 subscribers today. It went from I can't even think about it what it is, and now it's like 4.6 thousand. So you guys are rocking it on the liking and the subscribing. So subscribe it and like it too, because you can always like it. If you've got questions, we got answers hopefully, and we have moderators in the chat with little wrenches, and they are ready to go to answer your questions. And so those are there as well. And we want to, if you're on Twitter, we'd love for you to tweet. I don't know about you, but I get 1,000 ideas on Twitter all the time, and I'm going to do my workshop selfie right now. So I'm going to get ready to tweet out about Kevin's session and some of his stuff. So I'm just going to get my camera over here, get ready. I'm rocking and rolling, and there's my picture. I did my my workshop selfie. So we want you to tag us on Twitter at the hashtag PB Tech Talk, and that's been fired up all day long. From Anne to Monica to our last session with Carla. I mean, it's ready and rocking. And I know that Kevin's been tweeting already. And also tag us at EdTech PVC because that's our Twitter accounts, because we like to share ideas with you too. So that's a great way of communicating with us on a regular basis. We want to thank you for being here. Some of you have been with us all day long. We are so thankful for you. We hope this has been a really good experience for you. We're in our last session with Kevin Honeycutt on collaboration. Kevin Honeycutt has been with us. He's been at 2 of our tech conferences, and he's been with us twice in the EdTech Institute, and he's here with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the man, Mr. Kevin Honeycutt, and let's see what he's going to blow us away with today. Thank you, Kevin.
Hey, you're so welcome. So glad to be here. John, let me know, give me a little hint if you can hear me okay, if I can just go forward and see how this goes.
Yeah, if you can just talk, if you can talk a little louder. We know your volume's a little bit. We know you're quieter, but as loud as you can, we'd appreciate it.
Will do. So number one, let me just say hi to everyone, and I just want to tell you, hang in there. We've been through a lot. It's amazing watching teachers these days because I've seen teachers go from here to here this fast, and it's not been easy under tremendous pressure. So first of all, congratulations for hanging in there and doing the right thing for your kids. That's what teachers do. I'm just proud to be one of you and going through this with you. So I want to share a couple of ideas before I really get started here. I've got a 5-year-old, and during the pandemic, I've been home a lot with my 5-year-old. And I'm pretty committed to making sure my 5-year-old is ready for the future. So you can imagine if I was on the road 260 days a year and suddenly I'm home, always. We have had so much fun. And of course, we've built robots, and we have learned coding, and we've done music, and we have all of this stuff. And I'm looking at my 5-year-old, and I'm saying, I've got to get him ready for the future. And one of the things that I've got to help him get used to doing is collaborating. Working with other people in other places to build one thing or to build a common product. That's how we survive. And I go back to history. When I'm talking about the future and thinking about the future, I always go to the past to see what we have done. What have Homo sapiens done in the past? Well, we were upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherers living in small tribes, living in small groups, right? Until we kind of started getting together and building these little towns, these little places, these little cities, these little walled areas where people lived within the confines of those walls, protected themselves, and started to grow crops and domesticate animals. And the beginning of civilization was collaboration, right? So that's always been there. It's always been a part of us. And I don't want to forget that, especially now during the pandemic when we've got kids everywhere. Literally, there are kids we don't even know where they are. Schools I work with all over the world have a certain percentage of population of kids they can't tell you, they haven't heard from them. That's hard. That's hard for teachers. It's been tough. And so I think what we got to do is teach kids to work together, to collaborate no matter what's going on. Whether they're in the classroom, wonderful. Wonderful that they're all in the classroom. The unfair advantage of proximity, right? But how do we work together if we're not together? How do we do that? And I feel like it's my job to make sure kids know how to do that. So you can live anywhere. I know kids who live in the middle of nowhere, right? How are they going to get a job? How are they going to keep a job? I don't want to go to a small town and say the only way kids are going to succeed is if they leave your town forever. That can't be the only thing that's true, right? So how does a kid stay in your town and work anywhere in the world and be successful? How does she become amazing on a team that builds a robot, in Japan or China or Shanghai or, wherever in the world? How can she stay here and work anywhere? Now, by the way, if the pandemic has taught me anything, it's taught me that I can do anything from anywhere at any time. Right? And I'm 54 years old, and I'm not done learning. I want kids to see old man Honeycutt figuring it out. I don't have it figured out, but I will figure it out. So I want kids to get this. I want them to see this. One of the things I talk to kids about is this idea here, and I see this at schools. I ask kids, do you want to be global or do you want to be snow global? And what does that mean? Well, I go to a lot of schools that are snow global and they don't know it. Great school, great test scores, wonderful kids. Everything is awesome. The only way I know that is to go to their snow globe and look in there and see, shake it up, and their snow is so cool, right? That's not global, right? Right? And I see schools like this. And if I want to show you a school that's 10 years behind, I'll show you a school that was 10 years ahead 10 years ago. And they fell in love with who they were, or they thought they were, and they built a globe around it. And kids are trying to get out, and teachers are trying to cut holes to connect to other schools and collaborate with other schools, and they get in trouble because there's no policy yet. And you got to break that glass, whatever that means. So making sure that when kids create, they're working with other people can see what they do. And you all know this. I know you know this. Kids care about things if it seems like it matters. And kids will say, why do I need to know this? That's a good question, right? But if you're working with other people and you're collaborating with other classrooms, and this goes all the way back. We had pen pals back when we were sending letters from classroom to classroom, written in pencil. And this has just gone on and on and on. Now we're using other tools to collaborate. We're using Google tools, right? And we're using Google Classroom. We're using Flipgrid. We're using all these tools to let kids work together. And I want to empower that. I want to take you back in time. I'm an old guy now. I want to take you back to the first notion I had that the kids I work with have to work with other kids in other places if they're going to be successful in this world. It started with the F-117 project. I had this crazy idea. This teacher dared me. He said, could you teach math or physics or measurement or science with a project-based learning lesson? And I was fascinated by the F-117. This is back in the day. This is a while back. But what's amazing about this plane is you pointed a radar at it and it wasn't there. All these angles reflected, and it made this thing amazing and made it work. But I thought, well, kids will find this intriguing, maybe. So I made a lesson. I built a lesson. This is back when Blogger was the only thing. I had an account on Blogger. And I shared this with a handful of schools, 4 schools actually. And I gave them a challenge to build a one quarter scale model of an F-117 out of any materials they had, and they had this many days. And my thinking was this: they were going to have to research, they're going to have to work together, right? Communicate with each other, collaborate with each other, cooperate, solve problems, be organized, and plan, because they had to be done by a certain deadline, right? At 1/4 scale, this thing's still pretty big, about 12 feet long, wingspan is about 15 feet, right? So let me show you what that looked like. It looked like this as kids were building. So in their schools now, the kids are doing this. Some of them are using styrofoam, some of them are using cardboard. The schools that I worked with at that time were mostly at-risk schools that kids went to who flunked out of regular schools, but they were amazing at hands-on learning. So this was just fun to watch. And they collaborated with each other, they talked to each other, they compared notes, and they shared their models. And at the end, and you can see at the bottom right there, that school there was so proud of their F-117. They took it apart, put it in a horse trailer, took it to the Hutchinson Airport, put it back together on the tarmac, and did a documentary DVD about the making of the F-117. And what did I see as a teacher? Oh my God. We're talking about engagement here. We're talking about something kids wanted to do. Stayed after school and begged for more time. And I thought, oh my God, we have engagement. We've got kids learning skills, right? And let me ask you a question. You can respond in the chat. We focus so much on content. And I'll show teachers this, and they'll say, well, what about the content? What content are you covering? And I'm like, oh, guys, kids are learning to communicate, collaborate, cooperate. They're learning how to learn. Is that important? Raise your hand. Comment. Is it important for kids to know how to know? If that's important, okay, where do we test that? Right? Because we seem to value what we measure. So where is that in the curriculum? We say it's important, but how do we show that it's important? So teachers will say, I need a rubric. I need to know they're going to deal with physics. They're going to deal with Newtonian physics. They're going to work with whatever. They're going to want those things. And I'm saying that's not the point. The point is we're creating a situation where kids have to build something, and they have to learn in order to build it. Can I guarantee they're going to learn specific things? Not exactly. Can I guarantee they're going to learn? Yes. So can we just open our minds for a little bit and say, let's just let this happen? Here's what's the weird part. I'm an old guy now. I've watched this for a long time. I spent most of my career doing project-based learning. And I'm a sociologist. I sit on the sidelines and I watch and I notice, wow, Bill is amazing at this. He's flunking every class in school, but he's my leader here. Why? I ask myself. I watch. Well, he's important here. Hands-on learning is important here. He's showcase. He's rock star. The first time in his public school experience, he is the best at something. What is that worth? So I take notes on these things, and I want to do it again and again and again. So I'm going to show you the same kind of thing with different kinds of ways to do it. One of my favorite things in the world, and you know I've talked about this before, but Lulu, LULU.com, self-publishing for free. So let's pretend that you teach creative writing, right? You teach poetry or whatever, research and writing, whatever that you teach, but it's writing, right? Or it could be photography. So you get your kids together and they start working on a book together. They're collaborating on a book. Now, here's my advice. If you're nervous about this, yeah, do it in the classroom first, right? Maybe they write a book together. Maybe it's third grade or first grade and they're doing an alphabet book on a theme. So it's all animals, an alphabet book, or it's all reptiles, an alphabet book. And then they write the whole thing, they build the whole thing, they do page by page. And I don't care what tool you use. I'm agnostic when it comes to the tool, as long as it works and kids like it and it's working for you, the teacher. So whatever it happens to be that you're using. One of the things that I like to use, I use Google Docs a lot. I use Google Draw a lot to let kids collaborate in one space. But the teacher that I wanted to tell you about that I love to talk about is my friend Matthew Seacrest. And this is his Twitter account. You must follow this, DCE Lit Mag, literary magazine, right? DCE, this is DC Everest High School Lit Mag. He's been doing this forever, this teacher. Doesn't just teach writing, he mints writers. One more time, he mints writers. So you're in this class and you're writing, yes, but you don't just write hand into one person. How many of you have ever written something hand into one teacher? You have one reader. You're a writer with one reader. And what is the motivation there? Right? I don't care how great you are as a teacher. It's really hard to motivate someone to write a beautiful story when they have an audience of one. So what Matthew does is he gets the kids to write. And as they're writing, when they put it all together, they publish their own book. This is one of their books, Point of Convergence, right? This is spring 2019. What's inside the book is all the writing the kids did through the whole year in one published book. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. They collaborated on a compendium here. Right, this compendium, they collaborated, so they published this book, but they're not done yet, right? Once that thing comes out, now imagine you're in this class, you're a high school kid who doesn't care about writing, and suddenly you're a published author. And there's a big night where everyone comes to the school and the authors walk down the red carpet and you all talk about the book. Here's another one of their books here, right? This is the year before. So suddenly your writing matters, but you're not done yet, because while you're still in this class, you're going to pitch your idea for a book, your own idea, not everybody, just you, your idea for a book, and then you're going to publish your own book. This is Natalie's book here. Here she is in the back, an author with the barcode and a legal copyright in the United States. High school student, legal copyright, worldwide distribution. Teacher, a teacher. He doesn't even know how good he is. And I meet teachers like this all the time who don't. The best teachers think that everyone does exactly what they do, and what they don't realize is it's not true. They're kind of amazing, right? So I want to go find all of you Jedis, put you in one Jedi council and say, yes. Now, I got to push you a bit. I've got to push you a bit today. So listen to me. Hear an old man talk. People support what they've learned to be proud of. One more time. People support what they've learned to be proud of. If you do something amazing like this guy did, and nobody understands it and no one knows the story, you can get fired for doing something amazing. That just happens. What you got to do is share the story. You got to share the story. This is collaboration. This is me on Twitter saying, so proud of my kids. I understand you don't want to brag about yourself. You're a teacher. You're humble. I get it. Can we brag about our kids? Can we do that? So that's what Matthew does, is he doesn't just brag about his kids being writers. He has them on Twitter, on Instagram, on social media, pre-buzzing their novel before it's released. He's teaching them how to sell their novel to the world, right? They're collaborating with other teachers and other people in other places to get the kids to feel bigger and be bigger than their local little town. Kids deserve this, right? To be motivated by fishing in the ocean, not in some little pond. That's one guy. If you're not connected to Matthew, you've got to be connected to Matthew Seacrest. I don't collect just anybody. I collect amazing Jedis who are kind and humble and help other people. If you're amazing, but you're a jerk, I don't have time. I'm sorry, I just don't have time. I'm at the age now where I only collect good people. Matthew has helped so many teachers get started with their kids and publish. So I just want to put that out there for him, okay? And for you. So I'm gonna take it one more place, right? So I'm doing this project in Tennessee, and this is another idea about collaboration, okay? Every classroom is gonna make this big cardboard thing, and I if you know me at all, I do a lot of stuff with cardboard. I wish I could show you my basement right now. There's a whole cardboard fort over there, big enough to sleep 5 kids, taking up my whole basement just right there. And behind me here, my kid kind of lives underneath my table back here and makes his own little cardboard stuff. So I make those templates available, right? But then you can invent your own too. So these schools in Tennessee that I work with, when we were doing a grant, we had a grant that deals with poverty and family engagement. So the idea here is that we're going to make some really cool cardboard things. We're going to take them all to the football field. We're going to let the community walk through our creations while the kids are docents of their own learning. So here you see there's a X-Wing fighter. There's a rocket with a space shuttle here. Over here, there's an airplane. Here's one of those, okay? These are all elementary kids, okay? Here's another one. Now, this one here, we talked about scale. The kids made a submarine. The scale was a little bit small, so they had to put the kids inside the submarine. They basically wore the submarine, but they got the picture, the whole class. Now, those are paper plates, teachers. Paper plates on the side that you spray paint black, and you put a picture of each kid there so it looks like a portal. Again, we made a template for a geodesic dome that kids could build. That's a school bus up there on the right. I'll show you one more here. And here you got a boat here. So anyway, so the whole town comes out and they all fill out these ballots and they judge these different creations on certain criteria that the teacher invented. The kids are excited. This is all, I like to think of it as thinking inside the box, outside the box. Cardboard, that's my favorite thing, because it can be anything. It's waiting to be what you want it to be. I just love that idea, right? So I'll take that one more place now with collaboration. PBL plus collaboration, what that look like. And I wanted to share a couple of ideas with you. But first I want to take you, I'm going to take you over here to this on this page. So let me jump over here and go to, let's see, I've got this one here. Hold on just a moment here. I'm all over the place. Let's go to new tab and my site. So I want you to go to kevinhoneycutt.org, kevinhoneycutt.org, and I'll pull this over here so you can see. Okay, so if you're on this page, if you're on this page, click on, at the top, there's a button that says resources. Click there. Now, just a ton of stuff on this page. Please go here and look around. Since the pandemic happened, I went back and I curated everything I've made in the last 30 years and put it all in one place. So here you'll see there's 129 free drawing lessons you can use tomorrow with your kids if you want that. And if you go down here at the bottom, you'll see this thing that says life practice. I want you to try this. If you click on life practice, it's going to take you to these project-based learning lessons, right? It'll look like this here. Let me know if you can get there. This is going to be, if you scroll through, the project-based learning lessons built by me and my partner, Ginger Lumen. We spent 10 years working on the beginnings of this. We ran a school. It was all project-based learning centered, and the kids would be one of these things. So in our school, in each lesson, you would be a time traveler or an artist or inventor, historian, storyteller, problem solver, scientist, or we would focus on college and career ready in these here. So we would go through and we'd give you the foundations of how these recipe cards work. And these look like Betty Crocker recipe cards, literally, they're supposed to. So when you print these off and hold them in your hand, you get the soup stock to start creating with your kids. But my push is going to be create with other classrooms and other places one common thing, whether it's a Martian colony. Here's Martian colony here, but I wanted to show you what that might look like. Okay, so here, this is a crazy Google Draw page here, so hang with me for a second here. So what I did is I went to my pantry and I found a bunch of objects, everything from little aluminum foil baking pans to toilet paper rolls to cottage cheese containers to bottles to whatever. And I took pictures of them in front of a green background or a blue background, and I chroma keyed them. So I removed the background so they really were just objects, okay? Just objects. And so what happens is the kids come in here in groups of 5. So this is a Google Draw document, right? So I made 5 Google Draw documents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is room 4, right? So certain 5 kids are in this room, and they can go on the side and they can drag something. I have them copy, paste, and then drag that over here onto the landscape. Now, if I don't do that way, if I don't, and by the way, if you do anything wrong, if the kids do, you teach them to undo, and it goes back, right? So if I go copy and paste, now I grab that, and it's over here, right? Now you can size it up and size it down. So kids are working together, right? I'm going to make the living quarters, right? Someone else is going to make the solar array. I have them copy the things from the side and paste because it's crazy. But a lot of times kids or teachers will think if they grab one from the side, there are no more. And they can make as many as they want. But no, I want them to get that we can just copy and paste. Look, if this is in front of it, this is solar array, okay? So I'm going to do this. Now the learning, this is hands-on, it's fun, and kids like it and all that stuff. I get that. But the learning starts when I start having other kinds of demands. For instance, kids, I want you to label all the parts of your Martian colony. I want you to cite your sources as to where you looked at NASA's plans or European Space Agency's plans for colonizing Mars. I want to see what you've learned there. Show me your research over here. At the same time, you get to do hands-on learning. When you're all done, you take a screenshot and you hand that in as homework. But I, as the teacher, even online, can go from room to room to room to room and be giving you feedback. Oh, group 4, you're rocking it over here, but I don't see any captions. Can you please start labeling things because we only have 20 minutes left of our online learning time. And one more thing I do is I have the kids send me pictures of their toys. This is crazy, but they love it. Toys, their Buzz Lightyears or their robot things or their whatever their toys are. And we can do the same thing. We can put them in their work. It's crazy how much they like this. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about this is a Martian colony. This is a Google Draw document. That's simple, right? And I'm going to make sure I share this. In fact, I'm going to drop this over here. Can I just drop this? Drop it in the chat. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, drop it in the private chat, Kevin, and I'll share it out there.
When I'm all done, I'm going to give you one link. It's going to go to everything I've talked about, but that will take you to this one. Now, take a moment and think about this. What else can I teach in this way? Now, again, this can be Flipgrid. This can be any tool. I happen to be using Google Draw here, and I always have to go to New, More, and then Google Draw is there. For some reason, it's a couple of clicks away. But anyway, I answered. Okay, well, thank you. Cardboard connectors. Talk to me more about cardboard connectors. Elizabeth, what are you talking about? Connectors. We'll have to talk. Maybe I'll let me do this. I'm going to drop my phone number. Yes, my phone number, 694-9288. Boom. call me when we're all done here, and I'll walk you through whatever it is that we're looking for. Okay. So anyway, that's the Martian colony. So it goes from PBL, right, what we were showing there in PBL, to an actual thing that you can do online. Now, in the room, of course, I love doing this with cardboard and stuff in a classroom. But now, think about this idea, and some of you are dealing with this, simultaneity. Simultaneity, which means what? I'm teaching kids in the classroom. I'm also teaching them online at the same time. I can't tell you how many schools I'm working with that are doing that. They're saying, I know you're teaching in the classroom, but also teach virtual at the same time. Oh, we're not going to train you or anything. Good luck. I see that everywhere. I'm like, what the heck can you do with that? So here's an idea, okay? The reason I like the thing I just showed you, right, where I get a Google Draw document, kids can work there, is I can put that on the Promethean board, and the 14 kids in class can be working on that, right? Or they can be working on their laptops. At the same time, I can also have the kids that are home working on theirs at the same time. So on the screen, it doesn't look different. Virtual kids, kids in the classroom, the learning looks similar. Right? So it works in both places. Here's my push to you. Whatever you build right now because of COVID-19, plan for it to work after COVID-19. Plan for it to extend your teaching, right, to enhance your teaching, and to add new choices for kids after COVID-19. I'll give you an example. I read a lot about kids who are thriving right now online, more than they did in public school in person before. And I think, wow, I wonder why. And I can imagine things, can't you, where kids are on the spectrum, or they have some issues where they trigger socially. So social causes anxiety, and they have a hard time learning in a classroom. But they're sitting there learning with everyone else. Well, you come back from COVID-19, you've curated hundreds of different resources. And now suddenly they can do it virtually with a headphone on. Here's my rule: one headphone on, one headphone off, so you can hear me. You can also hear the stuff that you're working on online. So some of the kids in the back, they're all doing it virtually, while the kids in the front are doing it in analog, and it all happens at the same time. It's traditional and digital at the same time, and better than we were before. I believe that can happen. So I don't want you to build anything that you think, after the pandemic, I won't need this anymore. Think differently than that, right? Think, how does this extend what I was doing before? I think we can do better things, right? So if you're here on this set right here, I want you to scroll down and look at some different things here. Like, for instance, the Viking ship. This is a lesson I did with Ginger and 6th through 8th graders in the classroom, and we really just had 2 days to do the whole thing when we did it. Now, in this one, we're asking kids to be historians, to go back in time and build a scale model of a Viking ship. Now, the way we did this is we had 2 different groups. One group built the left half, and one group built the right half, and then they had to fit together. Now, what we were doing is encouraging collaboration across space in the school. So 2 rooms down, they're building the left half, and 2 rooms this way, they're building the right half. We're gearing up for doing this across states, across continents. But we have to start and get our skill sets right here first. So kids are learning to talk to each other, collaborate over a little bit of distance. Now, a little bit of distance, a hallway or floor to floor at a school, isn't half as scary for some silly reason as working with kids in Singapore, in different time zones. So they're working at night while you're working during, your day is their night and their night is your day. So you're working asynchronously and learning how to do that. So here's the Viking ship. And I want to talk a little bit about what that looked like in the classroom. So here's what it looked like in the classroom. I'm telling kids, okay, kids, I don't know if you can see that or not. How well can you see that? There we go. So I'm telling kids you can build this out of anything you want to, but it needs to be what? And we talk together and say, what scale could we make it? It's not going to be 40 feet long. It won't fit in the classroom, right? So we come up with a quarter scale. And here's why I like scale. When you're building things to scale, you're working with math, measurement, ratios all day long, and the kids don't even know it, right? So the kids, one of the things they like is they like the styrofoam material that we found at Lowe's and Home Depot. And here in this picture, you can see the kids actually scratch the wood grain with their fingernails to make it look more realistic, to make it look more authentic. This is junior high, right? We used 2 colors of paint from Walmart, $8.99 a gallon, a darker color and a lighter color, so we could simulate the sort of wear and the sort of look of the wood. And then the kids knew that the Vikings did smelting. They actually created little furnaces where they would make iron rivets to hold their ships together. So we approximated that with screws. And these are choices that you let kids have. They go to Lowe's or Home Depot and they pick the materials. Always give them a budget, but not a lot of money. Just enough money, but not a lot of, because part of what I want them to have is financial literacy. and planning skills, and that involves looking at their money and seeing how far it can go. So we're looking at primary source, and the cool thing is I can do this online. I can have you build this at a different scale out of cardboard in your house or paper in your house, right? Or kids could build parts of it and ship them all to one location where we assemble it. There's a way to do it virtually and online at the same time. What I would say is just open your mind. And one thing, look, relax, right? We'll figure this stuff out. I really believe that you have to leave some things for the kids to figure out. And one of the easiest things to do is come down the stairs and open all the presents before the kids wake up. Everything you do for them takes something away from them. So even if you knew the perfect lesson, I would say don't do it. Act like you don't know. Leave something for them to solve. Leave something for them to do, right? But the biggest thing is create the necessity for them to have to work with other people, right? Online, across distance, and to collaborate. In the meantime, as a teacher, are you doing that? Are you working with those other teachers in other places? And I want you to do it in front of them. So they see, oh, that's how Mr. Honeycutt does this. Or Mr. Honeycutt always works with other teachers. That's why we know all these other kids, to extend their experiences, right? So we're working on a couple of things here. We're working on the problem solving and this idea of just now experts that kids can learn right now. Kids can learn right now. Okay, so come up with a problem for them to solve and then open up that laptop. If they're going to have this stuff, let's use it. Right? I always say the web and technology prepares a buffet of learning tools, and for the most part, we're eating the napkins. So where's the good stuff that we can do, and how fast can we help kids build those skills? See, I want my kids to be able to compete with people anywhere in the world, to have amazing skills, to know how to know. Now look at our world right now, full of fake news, it's crazy. Right now, I think teaching kids financial literacy is important, but also information literacy is huge. I don't know how many of you would agree, but right now it seems like we're living in this crazy time where anything can be true and nothing is true. I don't know what happened. And we were trying to teach, information literacy, but I think what we taught was for people to be skeptical. And while they're sitting there believing nothing, they became susceptible to other things. It's an interesting world. I think as teachers, we have to lead our way out of this. We have to teach kids to know what they found out is true. How do you do that? How do you know how to trust the source that you found? These are skills, right? They're not always on the quiz, but I think they're important. So if kids know how to know, they don't need you anymore. You wean them, right? And now they can go out there in the world and do whatever it is that they want to do with their lives. So again, some of the tools that I like to use with kids, of course, everything from Google to Google Docs to BibMe to whatever you've got for tools to teach kids how to find and put their hands on information, and how to cite their sources when they're done. EasyBib is another one of those. But whatever tools you like best, just make sure kids are doing something when they curate to go ahead and put a bibliography together. Right? So usually with the PBL stuff, I start small, individual. Each kid makes one of something. And then I introduce the idea that we're going to do this together. We're going to do this as a group. We're going to have to work together, communicate, collaborate, cooperate to make this thing work. So they love taking home that first model they make. But in the end, it's bigger. Suddenly it's bigger. We have to go to the store. We have to go to Lowe's. We have to go find some stuff. And by the way, right now, I would wager most people's garages have cardboard. I could take you to my garage right now and show you, because of the pandemic, and my 86-year-old mother-in-law lives with us, we don't take a lot of chances. So that means most stuff comes to the porch, which means I have tons of cardboard. So right now is a great time for families to reach out to families and say, let's do a project together. We're going to build a learning space or a working space or a submarine or whatever together. And what I'm trying to do is encourage moms and dads and kids and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles to work together. When they're stuck in that house, they're doing something besides surviving. They're building something they're proud of. They're building something that brings the family together. So some of these projects are good for that. And I'll show you where all these live, by the way. So as they're building together, we're always looking at primary source. We're always looking at a real Viking ship, right? So we're always going back to the real thing, what the real world has. And as this thing comes together, oh my gosh, the looks on their faces, they built this thing, they're proud of this thing. That's what I'm going for here. How many of you would say you had some teachers that you remember lots of things you did with them? In fact, you remember almost perfectly the things you did with them, but there are other teachers in other classrooms that you went to school for hundreds of days, but you remember almost none of it. So there's this idea, right, that the brain remembers what it sees to be important. And if you don't think it's important, the brain it clears real estate to make room for more important things. It's constantly clearing off the front porch. So if what you're teaching feels like wah, 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 optional, they'll push it away, especially online. Engaging online, man, if you were having a hard time engaging in the classroom, engaging online, I have a rule that I do with my online teaching where every kid has to have a camera. Because if I can't see you, then you can hide. And if you turn off your mic, you could be playing a video game. You could be doing anything. I don't even know if you're there. So I've got to be, number one, engaging enough to make you want to be there. And number two, asking you to be there, giving you something that necessitates you being there so that I can see you and you can see me and we can learn together. Now, I'm going to take you through a couple of these things. When these things are done, I think they're huge, right? You've got to take pictures of it. You got to share it with the community before it's done. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, what if it doesn't come out good? You don't have to share it, but if it comes out good, you've got the evidence, and you've got people in your town saying, oh my God, this is how we learn in our school. Kids get to build things hands-on, collaborate with other people in other places, and become really good at 21st century skills, communication, collaboration. All these things we're focused on today are critical, are important for kids. But collaboration, teachers, it's got to be us too, because if we're not role modeling this, I don't know, why would kids do it? I got a million more things I could show you, and I'm looking at the clock and saying, wow, for me, time goes fast. You probably suffered a million deaths by now. But every tool that you can think of, and I'll give you another idea here. Okay? Global collaboration. I shared this a couple of years ago, and I'm just going to share it again because now we can do this stuff again, and it might include some of those homebound kids. Okay, so the idea here is I wanted to do this project where kids would build a car together. This is a Model T, right? And the idea is that different kids in different schools would build different parts of the same thing, put them all together into one finished product. They have to work with people. This is elementary to junior high to high school, whichever you want to do. So one kid builds the chassis, another group of kids builds the body, another kid builds the steering wheel and the lights and the tires and all of that. They ship them all to a fourth school and they assemble them all live on camera so everyone sees this thing. It was amazing. Kids in schools all over the world took part in this little project. Now, this didn't have to be Model T; it could be lots of things. This is one of the finished models over here. Again, elementary school, right? And the frame is made of balsa wood. They had some trouble when they put the weight on there. Some of the balsa wood broke because the kids hadn't really planned for the weight to be on there. And a lot of this is really important to let kids fail, to let kids dissect, autopsy failure and figure out how to not fail next time because of what they failed, right? So if there's anything I want you to remember, let me go back over here to show you. Go back to my, I want you to remember where you found the PBL lessons. I want to show you a couple more things on my website, okay? So at kevinhoneycutt.org, right? You go down here and click resources. Now, oh my gosh, if you go over here, lots of tools for learning. Oh, please click here. Since the pandemic, I've been curating hundreds of links and sites and resource pages right here. So if you click this, you're going to find probably a day's worth of learning. If you click the collaboration skeleton, here's another model of a Google Draw document where kids go in here and they have to rebuild a skeleton from the bones that you've given them over on this side here and label everything. Again, this is a Google Draw document. But if you like what I've done here, when you go there, just copy paste the whole thing, open a new Google Draw document, paste, and you've got mine. Just shoplift mine and use it any way you want to. I'd be honored. And I'm constantly building more things. If you want to build something together, let me know. Hit me up at that. Let me know and hit me up on my phone number there. Okay. I've got a ton of stuff here that you can look at, but I'm going to bring it to a close here and wind it to this last slide here. Let me see if I can find it. I skipped a bunch of stuff, so I've got to connect and talk to you all again. Darn it. Okay. All right. So here's my challenge to you. If you're on Twitter, awesome. If you're on Instagram, awesome. If you're on Facebook, awesome. Whatever network you're on that you're connected to other teachers in other places, rock on. I want you to come out of the pandemic with twice as many resources, 3 times as many resources as you ever had before, and the ability to collaborate, whatever your goal is, whether you're raising money, doing a GoFundMe campaign, whatever it is. I want you to reach out to those other people in other places. Look for that hashtag for ESL or for whatever you teach, and go beyond your hashtag too. Connect to teachers who teach other things that you don't teach. I get more sometimes from a physics teacher than I do from fellow art teachers because they think in ways that I'm not used to thinking. It stretches me. It grows me. This collaboration thing, is a big deal for you and your kids. I'm honored that you guys spent time hanging out with an old man like me and listening. And I'm going to hang around for a little while, but thank you so much for hanging in there. Thank you for what you do. Keep fighting the good fight. I love you for what you do.
Wow, Kevin, thank you so much. I'm just like, whoo! You've given us a lot to think about, and the chat's been awesome. There's been so much discussion, so we really want to thank you for sharing so many great ideas. And so a couple things to just kind of wrap up a little bit. I want to share a couple things. We've done some collaborative projects with Cardboard too. This was from a couple years ago where we did this, I can't even think what it's called, but it's like this big cardboard circle. I'm sure there's a great math term that I just can't remember it right now, but it was a great STEM lesson about trying it one way and then trying another. And this was a group of media specialists we did a couple years ago for our FAME conference, a project called using Makido. And we use kind of screws to kind of make it. And there's a video that can kind of show you kind of how it actually looks like. And it was a good lesson. We have
Somebody should get inside of it.
It's a wrap.
Well, you're the smallest.
Wait, we have a wing.
Somebody should get inside of it.
It's a wrap.
Well, you're the smallest.
Wait, we have our wing.
So there you go. So now let's get to the important stuff. I know that some of you are ready for this. If you want to be eligible for our door prize, you need to contribute in the chat to win. And thank you, Curriculum Associates, because they've contributed to our door prize, which is a $150 Amazon gift card. And I know a lot of us have been using Amazon recently, and so you may want to contribute to the door prize, and there goes the chat. And so the chat's really going, and so we're going to ask for Nightbot to pick a winner. And the winner is Jennifer Hall. So congratulations, Jennifer. That's awesome. You need to email Dana Rubenstein, and she will get that door prize to you. And so thank you so much. I really want to thank Kevin for being a great closing speaker. Kevin, you are awesome and amazing. We really appreciate you, and we really want to thank you for all that time and stuff like that. And you're doing awesome things, and we love having you on with us and stuff like that. So we want to thank everybody for joining us today. We hope that it was really relevant. We're bringing up the EdTech team here, and we're missing a couple of people, but we'd love to thank you for being here, and we really hope that you had a great day and you learned something from it.
For sure. Thanks, everyone. It was a great day seeing everything in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Remember, everything is recorded. Everything's on that website. As we get more resources, we'll continue to post. Carla's presentation is there if you missed it. But all the videos are also on our channel, so feel free to like and subscribe this video. Dana and Trent, you want to say anything before we go? No,
Thank
we're all
you for
good.
joining us. We hope you had a wonderful day of learning for our Tech Talk, and keep subscribing, and you will be notified when we have upcoming events.
Thanks for joining, everyone. It was a pleasure being here with you. I know I learned hopefully as much as everyone else did, but I'm definitely going to have to go back and rewatch and maybe even slow things down so I can watch them at my own pace and really take notes. Remember, you can adjust that playback speed. So if you need to slow anything down, I'll be right there with you.
Awesome. Have a great day, everyone. Hopefully you use everything this afternoon. Bye-bye.